There's nothing more like living through a disease. You learn more than you ever will in a school. I was a single mom living here in Los Angeles. In the day when I was modeling, it was like if you weren't partying with your agent, you weren't booking work. This whole pregnancy journey, that was the most challenging journey. The doctor was like, if you do the medication and you do everything that I say, you have a higher chance of going into remission.
Oh my God, this feels so good.
Well, I have to say, packaging is beautiful.
They were my golden secrets.
I am so excited to talk to you. I don't think I've ever been excited to talk to anyone. I've been your fan for like last 10 years. And like I told you 2 minutes ago, I
Yeah.
was walking, I was hiking one day around 7 years ago. And I just saw you coming towards, and I was like, "That's Jessie! I know her. I follow her." You're just radiate like that, like sunny, like positive, like grounded, like everything positive. It's you.
Thank you.
So I'm extremely, extremely grateful for you being here. I was asking.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for
much.
having me, you guys. That's so sweet.
Congratulations on your pregnancy.
Thank you.
How far along are you right
So
now?
we're 35 weeks today.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Last home stretch.
Yes. Yeah.
So this pregnancy was a little bit challenging for you, right?
Very challenging.
Very challenging. You want to share
Yeah.
a little bit of
Sure.
that journey?
Yeah.
Just we start from the end, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I had my first son at 26, unexpectedly got pregnant and had him. And I always wanted to have more children, but it just didn't happen. I didn't find my right partner. I didn't meet my husband until I was 39.
Oh, so it's been a while, actually.
A little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Met him when I was 39.
Mhm.
We got married during COVID. And then, like many people, he was like, let's start trying, during COVID. It was like we were bored.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Well, I was like, this is amazing. But I was also thinking, well, this is going to take a long time because I had so many friends that had children after me that unfortunately struggled, trying to get pregnant. So I assumed it's going to take us a year or something, especially with my age. We got pregnant
If
right
you
away.
don't mind, how old are you now?
So now I'm
So,
45.
45. Yeah.
Yeah, it's considered geriatric pregnancy.
Like an old person
But
pregnancy.
which is crazy because after
Yeah.
35, they call it geriatric pregnancy.
They do.
And I'm like, it's ridiculous, but
Mhm.
that's a whole nother thing. But we got pregnant after the second month of trying. So I was completely shocked.
You were 39 or you were like
I was 41
41
at that
okay.
time.
Mhm.
Yeah. But we miscarried. And
Sorry.
then we got pregnant again in 1 month. Like after I healed, we tried again. Got
Mhm.
pregnant again, miscarried. And I was like, okay, I can get pregnant,
Yeah.
but what's going on here? And I didn't know if it was associated with me having rheumatoid arthritis, which I'm sure we'll talk about, or I didn't know if it was a genetic disorder after 35. Of course, like your eggs also, it's like I think 1 in 7 are healthy. So I was just kind of started searching for answers, and my doctor said, why don't you go to an IVF clinic and just see like what your numbers are, and you can get the embryos tested. And I was like, never in a million years. I'm like, if you follow me on Instagram or you know me, I'm like such a
For
hippy
sure.
dippy,
You
like,
don't seem the person who
yeah,
goes
it
for
wasn't,
yeah.
I didn't think it would be anything that I would ever be open to. I gave birth to my son at home naturally. And I just felt like that felt so sci-fi. But at the same time, my husband had just booked a show, which was filming in Canada, and he was going to be gone for 6 months. And so I started getting a little panicky, like, I can't wait 6 months.
Yeah.
I need your sperm. Give me your sperm. And I went to the doctor and I was like, can you get me pregnant without my husband here? And he's like, absolutely.
Nice.
And I was like, perfect. So we got my husband's sperm and we did the retrievals, for the embryos. And the cool thing about this kind of stuff nowadays is they can test the embryos. So they test the embryos right then and there for chromosome issues. And so we had 3 good embryos. So I was like, okay, now I know, like, if this is going to work, like, if it's a chromosome issue, I'll know that it was a
So
chromosome
did you
issue.
miscarry because of the bad embryos?
I
Or
don't know. I didn't know.
they don't
Yeah.
know.
I think because of my age, they assumed it was a chromosome issue, So that's I was kind of put in that category,
Mm-hmm.
which is unfortunate. And now that I'm on the other side of things, why I love sharing my story, because a lot of women have autoimmune issues or other issues going on that have nothing to do with their age. They have healthy eggs and they have healthy embryos. But the immune system has so much to do with being able to maintain a pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And with rheumatoid arthritis, your immune system over responds, like overreacts. So I started to realize that maybe just intuitively, I felt like my body was attacking the embryo as a foreign object, which can happen even without having an autoimmune issue. The placenta helps modulate the immune system, which takes like 10 to 13 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So in between that period, it's like you could miscarry, the risk of miscarrying is high. So um, I loved that I knew that I had healthy embryos. I felt like, okay, at least I know they're like chromosomally healthy. Um, but again, we did a transfer and it didn't work.
Did you try all three right away?
So we did two, and unfortunately, I had to do them by myself because my husband was gone or it was COVID. So that in itself was
It
depressing.
didn't help.
It didn't help. Just
Mhm.
energetically, like the whole thing felt
Yeah.
very cold and just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it just didn't.
Just you like doing like
Yeah, I
yeah.
was just like,
Mhm.
ugh. And I didn't have a good vibe about it. But I'm also like a psycho researcher. So this entire time like I would stay up late and like research, and I would go on these Facebook groups of women that are older and pregnant or have autoimmune disease. And I started learning about all these different things that are kind of unconventional. And I came across this place in Northern California that helps women with like autoimmune issues. And I had one embryo left. And I was like, okay, I got it. This is all I have left, so I went on their waiting list, which was like 4 months long, which was I had to be so patient because I'm 44. I'm like, I
4
don't
months.
have
It's
time.
gosh.
Like, come on, guys. Like, so he did all this blood work that nobody had ever run before. And it's stuff that I had never really heard about, like
Interesting.
natural killer cells and
Wow.
like just like immune things. And I
Mhm.
was right. My body was attacking the embryo. So he said, you are not allowed to transfer until I get all your numbers down. So we did all these unconventional things. I mean, we even went to Tijuana. There's this thing called lip procedure where they take my husband's blood and then they put it back in my arm to kind of let my body know his like
Can you mix the
Wow.
blood?
stuff. They took his blood. Did you guys ever have PRP?
Yeah,
Microneedling?
yeah. I
And
had it in my face like a week
that's
ago.
kind of what it reminded me of. So they took his blood and then they like separated the plasma. I don't know what they did to it. Actually, it took like 4 hours. And then they re-injected it into my arm in 8
I'm
places.
dying.
I never heard of it.
I know. It's illegal here. It's legal in Mexico and Australia and Canada.
I know I'm dying.
Yeah.
What is it called? Is there a name?
LIT. It's
Lit.
like lymphocyte immune therapy or something.
Mhm.
But the whole thing is to like have my body recognize my husband's part of
Makes
the
sense.
embryo so I don't reject it.
Mhm.
So we did that twice, and they have like a blood work where they could test for that. So my numbers were good. And we did a bunch of other things. And then the doctor finally cleared me and it worked. And so here I am now. But it was a 4-year journey. It was a 4-year journey. And man, it tested me more than anything I've ever experienced in my life,
Wow.
emotionally and trying to maintain my strength and continue to run a company. And I would probably say 10 of my friends and family had babies within that time frame. So also finding happiness for them while I was going through my own triumphs. It was like I was definitely expanding as a human being. I was like, okay.
Spending more
Wow.
than you already have
It was
within your life.
yeah,
And
it
speaking
was
of
a
that
long road.
connection with your husband, like you have his blood in you basically, and I think that's like next level.
That's so
You know?
cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool. There's some really
Yeah.
interesting like unconventional therapies that I wish we're legal here, and I wish more people knew
And they
about.
do help, obviously, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. From that
Wow.
time when we did that thing, it's called lip procedure. My doctor said you have 6 months to try during this window. Like, so it lasts. It's basically like a husband vaccine,
Mhm.
kind of.
That makes so much sense.
So it lasts like 6 months, and then you would have to do it again if you don't get
Husband
pregnant.
vaccine. Noted.
Maybe you should do it so they get on our page a little bit more into
Right?
sometimes.
Because I'm sure it does so much emotionally too.
Well, my husband was
right?
joking because he's like a big Viking, and he's like, "No, you're gonna be strong." And I was like, "Give it to me."
That is so funny.
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Well, speaking of your husband, how did you guys meet?
We actually met at Stagecoach. Do you know what that
Yeah.
is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I had never been. He went 1 year before, and everything just aligned like randomly. Like a friend was like, "I have a VIP ticket, and I have a place for you to stay." And like
Nice.
a family friend was in town that watched my son, and everything just aligned. And then
Mhm.
we met on the last night, and I kind of called him in. I mean, you guys are I think you guys are taller than me, but like I was there with a girlfriend of mine who's quite tall, another model. And the whole weekend I felt like these really short older guys were trying to pick us up. It was just
Just not
Awful.
cute.
yeah,
I
it
know,
was
not
just awful.
cute.
Yeah.
I know.
And so jokingly, I said out loud to her, "We need 2 6'4" cowboys to come carry us home because our feet were also day 3 of a festival. Our
Oh,
feet
yeah.
are killing us." And I look over, and here's 2 6'4" cowboys walking right towards us. And so we just started dying laughing. And by the time they came over, we're continuing to laugh. And they're like, "Why are you laughing?" And we're like, "I literally just prayed for you guys."
Yeah, you manifested.
And
I manifested you a second ago,
yeah,
though.
a second ago, literally. And then that was it. That was literally it. We went on a date like the next week, and it was meant to be.
Mhm.
Yeah, just
That's so beautiful. You
Yeah.
see, words have so much power. right?
yeah,
I always say that.
yeah, for sure.
And your husband where's he from?
He grew up here actually, and then he was raised in Washington.
Okay.
Yeah, in like
And
the
why is he in
islands.
Canada 6 months of the year? Does he have like some show, like a
Yeah,
contract? He has a contract that he
Yeah.
shoots every year.
yeah. It just got
Nice.
picked up today. I think we just found out 4th season. It's called Ghosts on CBS. It's like the
Okay.
#1 comedy right now.
It is.
But he plays a Viking, of
He
course.
plays a Viking.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like a gentle
Yeah.
Viking, right?
He is.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
he seems like.
He's such a sweetheart. Yeah.
I was so happy for you when you started like posting him. I was like,
Thank you.
That
Well-
makes sense why they film in Canada, because like if it's Viking,
Yeah.
all that.
Well, they were originally filming here. I was kind of upset. And then after COVID, they got put on hold during COVID. And then after COVID, they're like, "We're moving to Canada." And I was like, "What? No."
you shoot in British Columbia or something, or not?
They're in
really?
Montreal.
Oh, in Montreal.
Yeah,
Wow. Well,
yeah.
it's much cheaper there than
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Well, we want to, go back a little. Whoop. Whoop. So obviously everyone knows your story,
Mm.
but we want to hear it from you.
Mhm.
You had a child unexpectedly
Yes.
at 25, at 26.
I think I was 25 actually. Yeah.
And at that time you were modeling a little bit, but you didn't love
Yes.
it, right?
I never loved modeling.
Every model we interview here, which is a lot of us
Yeah.
actually here, because, that's our
Yeah.
group of friends.
Sure.
And every girl says the same thing. I never loved it, or I never wanted to be a model. We kind of just got thrown into
Mhm,
it because of, I guess, our looks,
Mhm.
So it's funny you also say that you never loved it.
Yeah.
So then you had your son. I can relate to it a little bit because my pregnancy was, the first one night stand.
Oh, wow.
And the father actually stick around and we made it work. But I could not imagine having a child on my own, even after being successful.
Mm.
And I had no idea how to survive or make money. So I want to hear from you how you did it,
Yeah.
because I'm actually dying inside for you. like I have no idea. I would not be able to do it. I don't
Yeah.
think so. So how was that couple of years for you?
Well, I think that's why I got sick, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a single mom living here in Los Angeles. I was still modeling. Thankfully, right at that time, like I worked my whole pregnancy. shooting Gap and stuff, all those companies were just starting to actually show the real belly. I don't know, I feel like you guys are too young, but they used to do a lot of fake belly stuff.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
the clothes, they actually wanted to show like the belly ring, or like,
Yeah.
they actually wanted to show a real pregnant belly. So I worked my entire pregnancy, which obviously helped. And then I was that's actually the first time that I started loving modeling, because the way I was treated when I was doing pregnancy modeling was so different. Like as you guys know, like when you're
Very
pregnant, like people are
different.
just
Yeah.
nice to you.
So nice.
Just
And
so
the
nice.
day you give birth, like literally the next day,
Yeah.
they don't care
Yeah.
because they don't have belly anymore.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Mhm.
It's so interesting though too. I remember this pregnant, I don't feel it as much, but I'm kind of going on a sidetrack. But when I was 25 and pregnant, I remember, gosh, everyone's being so nice to me. And it's like, even women, like women that maybe found me threatening or something before,
Yeah.
everyone was just so nice. And I was like, that's part of the reason why I think I loved being pregnant. But yeah, so I mean, I was a single mom and I just made it work. I mean, I say these crazy things. My midwife, I tell people this all the time, but my midwife said, "Don't worry, babies come with their own bank accounts." And she would
Oh,
tell me
wow.
things like that. And I think it really shifted my perspective. And when I did go on these auditions, before it's like I was going on these jobs because I needed to pay my rent or I wanted like a nice pair of shoes. It was very shallow reasons. And now I was going in literally with my baby in a stroller, asking my friend, like, can you watch the baby while I go in for the
I
counseling?
am dying for you. I can't.
But I would go in with so much like, this is my job. Like, I am booking this job because I need it for my child. I was able to, it's like I never felt like I deserved it, but I felt like my son deserved it.
Yeah.
So I just had a different like sense of attitude, and I started booking things that I never booked before,
That's crazy.
and doing commercials, a lot of
Mhm.
commercials in California. You can book so many commercials back in the day. And that really helped us. But, I would also clean my friends' houses, and to get kind of like free babysitting time if I needed it. I would pray to book a job. And then when I would book a job, I would be stressed out who's going to watch the kid when I booked the job. You know what I mean? So it was a
Yeah.
constant.
Where is your parents at that time?
Both my parents were in Chicago. My mom might have moved to Florida by that time, and she
Mhm.
did come to visit
She came to help a
quite a
little.
bit. Yeah. But nobody was like, I was not that close with my dad. He remarried and had two younger sons. And my mom, financially, she just thought she couldn't afford to live here.
Mhm.
So, I was just on my own.
And the dad didn't help at all.
The dad didn't help at all. He was also a model.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He
Mm.
was
Does he has anything to do with your son now?
so he actually reconnected with him. So for 8 years there was no contact.
For the hard time.
For
And
the
he wants to hang
Oh,
out with his
wow.
son. Yeah.
yeah. And then he reached out, and I had found out that he was marrying an Australian woman. So I thought, oh, maybe she's a good woman and like wants him to like reconnect with his son before they get married or something. So, my son was like, should I talk to him? I said, sure, honey, like do whatever you want. I never talked bad about him to my son, Kaleo. I wanted him to like make up his own decision about his dad. But I did call his dad as soon as I found out. I said, I'm fine with you reconnecting, but if you hurt him, I will kill you.
Yeah, that's mama bear in you.
Yeah. So like, if you're going to reconnect.
Reconnect.
Don't come in and
play
out.
with his feelings.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think Kaleo and him quickly started clashing heads.
No.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. And they still talk like every once in a while.
Yeah.
He lives in Australia, so they have the surfing thing in common.
Yeah. I
And
get it.
yeah.
By the way.
By the
Big
way,
time.
you get it. Yeah. And something really cool, actually, his dad was adopted. So I had Cleo do 23andMe like 5 years ago. So we found his grandmother, who's this like Tongan woman, this gorgeous Tongan woman who lives in Hawaii.
No
So
way.
Cleo just got to meet like all his Hawaiian relatives just this past November.
He does look a little Hawaiian actually. He has like that
Yeah. Yeah.
really dark
Yeah. His dad's
skin.
like
That's really
Tongan
cool.
Hawaiian and like
Nice.
bunch of other things.
I mean, he's gorgeous, your
Yeah.
son.
Thank
Wow.
you so much. Thank you.
Is he a model too?
He is modeling, but he
Yeah.
hates it too.
Yeah.
And I
So
said
it
to
runs in
him,
the family.
yeah, I said to him, I said, you know what though, Kaleo? Like, I was just explaining this to him. Like, I hated what I hated about it is I hated the shallowness of it. And I hated being judged on the way that I looked. And I hated, especially back in the day when I was modeling, it was like, if you weren't partying with your agent, you weren't booking work. It was so much of it had to do with like your social life. And I just wasn't into any of that. I was like over
I feel like it's
partying.
the same. It's
Is
still
it
the
the
same.
same?
Yeah. I was just in Paris for the show,
Sure,
and
yeah.
then anyways, long story short, I didn't go out with this one client friend of mine, and like they had a fight with me about it, and I'm like, well, I can't be like everywhere at the same time. I
Yeah.
would like my time to, you know the story. So
Yeah.
it's still the same. You need to
Still the
like be
same.
like in a
Yeah.
But can I ask you were mostly modeling in California, or did you travel a lot?
So I started in South Beach,
Okay.
and I like, Abercrombie was my first job. And then
So is Dries.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was her.
Kinda wild.
It was her first job ever.
Oh my
With Bruce
God.
Weber.
Yeah, me too.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Crazy.
This is crazy. The day already getting better.
Were you girls on the same shoot? Maybe.
I know.
Do you know what year she was?
2004, she said.
Oh no, I was like 1998.
How was it
Yeah.
back then?
Yeah, crazy. I was just talking about this morning. I was the first topless. They had to put like a warning label.
I'm gonna Google
I
that.
put a warning
Were you
label.
comfortable doing
I
topless?
was
That-
because I was living in South Beach at the time. So I moved to so basically I went to Florida when I was 17 on spring break, and I never came home. Never went back home, just was like, I'm independent on my own. So that's why I started modeling, because I thought I can make a lot of money. I was living in an apartment off Lincoln. I was paying $600, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I loved the freedom that modeling gave me. Like I could make a lot of money in one day, and then the rest of the time be on the beach.
Amazing. Yeah.
So I would go to the topless beach in South Beach. So I
Yeah.
was very comfortable. I was,
Yeah.
hanging out with all the Europeans, and like I didn't think anything of it. So that's how I actually got Bruce Weber's assistant found me on the beach naked. So I
Seriously?
think that's why.
So he's like, that's the girl.
Yeah, I think that's why.
So did you always have this body since you were really young? Or it kind of improved after all your journey?
No, I think like when I was young, I was on birth control, so I
Mhm.
had like a full,
Fuller
I
body.
was I remember one time I heard my agent pitching me, and she said she's a full figured, like full body or something. And I was like, I am? I always thought I was
That's how you
skinny.
book me?
But like,
Yeah.
okay. But I guess I had like a fuller figure.
Mhm.
But I breastfed my son for 4 years.
Oh wow, so you got like this
I
probably.
was
Yeah.
like 100 pounds.
Same. Yeah.
And then I was under contract with this lingerie company, and I don't want to blame them, but like I really felt the need that I needed to like keep my body up. I ended up getting breast implants to like I actually gave them a picture of myself, and I was like, can you just make me look like this again?
Stop.
Yeah, so I have breast implants right now, but
Do you still have them?
I still do, yeah. But
Wow.
after I have this baby, I'm gonna take them out because I just don't need them anymore.
Well, I just got mine.
Oh, you did?
Well, after 2 kids,
Right. Well, that's what happens.
their age is
Yeah.
not
And if you're
cute.
still modeling, it's really hard. I mean, I was trying all the tricks. I mean, my
I didn't.
boobs were like double D, and then after I stopped breastfeeding, they were just like pancakes.
Same.
Yeah.
My boobs were not double D, but like D, and then they were down
Yeah.
my belly button. It was
Yeah.
just not cute.
And if you're shooting lingerie, like you
Mhm.
can't put like chiclets. You see everything. It's like,
Yeah, it's just a lot of skin.
it's tricky.
even for yourself, you
Yeah.
have like this like skin on your chest,
Yeah.
like ages.
Well, my plan
What?
is after I'm done breastfeeding is get them out and get a lift.
I had a lift. It's the best thing ever
Is it?
in your life.
I'm like so excited.
It's the best. I tell her all the time. She's tired of hearing about it. But I have the scars. I have the T scars. They don't bother me.
Yeah.
They're high. They're young. It's just the
Right.
best thing ever. You
That's
know?
what I feel like.
I
yeah.
saw
Yeah.
Marina's boobs when she just did it, and I was I freaked out a little bit because it gets kind of scarry.
Mm.
Yeah.
But now it's like it heals so
You
good.
can see the scar. Looks like
You
this.
can't even
It's
see
white.
anything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's great.
Yeah.
So recommend.
I'll
Yeah.
ask you when the time comes.
Recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were doing that, those 5 years, right? And then you find out you had your
Yeah.
autoimmune disease.
Yeah, so I think, being a single mom, I always had an excuse as to why I didn't feel good. I was always tired. I was always pushing myself. I remember just doing the most unhealthy things, like drinking an energy drink at 3 o'clock to get me through the day. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Um, and I just, I started feeling sick, and then it would almost be like I was getting the flu, and then it would go away. My body was acting weird. My knuckles were swollen, and I was just like, what is going on? So I went from doctor to doctor, and everybody just ran regular blood tests. But I also went to an Ayurvedic doctor, a homeopathic doctor. I went to all these different people, and everyone said, "You're fine. Everything looks great." And I just was like, I don't feel right. Something's going on. And I was chasing my son at the park, and I thought I tore my Achilles tendon. I didn't, but I ended up in the ER, and
Yeah.
the nurse was there. She saw my knuckles, which were swollen, and she said, have you ever seen a rheumatologist? And I was like,
God bless her.
a rheuma who? I was like, a what?
That's like me
Yeah,
trying to say your
exactly.
disease.
See, I couldn't say it either. I literally was like, a rheuma what? I was like, what are you talking about? I'm 29.
Yeah.
And she's like, I think you should go see a rheumatologist. And I was like, okay. So I went and saw a rheumatologist who's still my doctor today. And she did a blood test for the RA factor, it's called. And she's like, yeah, sure enough, you have rheumatoid arthritis, which is a systemic autoimmune disease. It does affect the synovial joints, but also affects the heart, the lungs, the eyes, the teeth, everything.
Wait, stop everything?
Everything, yeah.
So you still have it. You will have it
Forever, yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did you help yourself? So
Yeah.
at that moment, your child is 5. You
Yeah.
find out you have that. You're
Yeah.
freaking out. What?
But first it got worse before it got better, right?
Yeah, I mean, up until, this whole pregnancy journey, that was the most challenging journey. I've been handed a lot of incredible opportunities to grow, but yeah, I mean, I was originally, the doctor was like, if you do the medication and you do everything that I say, you have a higher chance of going into remission. I didn't know anything about the disease. I was brand new to it. There was no social media. There was no YouTube videos, so it was very, I don't even remember. I think I was just going to Erewhon at the time, which wasn't a cool place to go to. It was just the hippies and the real health people were there.
Were you into health already?
Already, yeah.
Already.
Yeah, I was into all of that. So I would go to Erewhon and talk to it used to
The
be Ron's
hippies.
Tea Garden
Yeah.
was there before. And just talk to people, and but I did what my doctor said, and the medication is intense. It's basically chemotherapy, methotrexate,
Whoa.
and TNF blockers, which are all immune modulating drugs.
Mhm.
But the side effects could be lymphoma and really gnarly. And here I was never even took Tylenol.
Yeah.
I've always been very holistic, gave birth at home, never took allergy medicine, never took and here I am what? I have to take these drugs for the rest of my life? Are you
Yeah.
crazy? But I was scared, so I did. I started it, and shortly after, I started having every side effect, other than lymphoma, thank God. But I was bleeding. I was getting my period for 15 days straight, and then they were like, "Well, let's just put you on birth control." And I was like, "But it says that's the side effect of methotrexate." So it was the first time that I was kind of introduced to the bad side of Western medicine,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think Western medicine does a great job with chronic disease. I think
Yeah.
because they just kind of try and fix the problem
Mhm.
with the Band-Aid. So then I went on this whole spiritual healing journey, trying to heal myself. And at the time, I hired this macrobiotic counselor her name was Mina Dobik, and she had healed herself from stage 5 ovarian cancer. She was given 3 months to live, and that was 25 years ago.
That's a short time.
Yeah, so she helped me and put me on this whole diet and lifestyle.
Macrobiotic diet. Maybe you could say a few words about that.
Yeah,
So
so
many people-
macrobiotic's really interesting. It was I think it was developed by this guy named Michio Kushi.
It's Japanese.
Very Japanese, yeah. Lots of grains and seaweed and vegetables. I would eat fish once a week. The sweets were like baked apple, a lot of like rice syrup, lots of teas, like everything had a purpose.
A little bit Ayurvedic, it sounds like
There was,
it.
yeah, there was. It was very cool. Like,
Mhm.
I still find so much of it fascinating. Like they had me eating at certain times because organs were associated with those eating times, and it was all about like chewing your food properly because you're chewing your food not only helps with clarity but breaks down and builds enzymes so you can break down your food and all these things. So I fully dedicated my life to that, and my body was shutting down like overnight.
Did you stop medicine at that point and just completely went
Yeah,
macrobiotic diet?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you still working and taking care of your son? I'm sorry, it
Oh
just
my God.
bothers me a lot.
It was insane. My mom, I had a boyfriend at the time who
Mhm.
was super supportive.
Okay.
And then I had a neighbor who was like the nanny to like my son's little girlfriend, and I would like pay her to like come over and help me. I had to hire a chef. So I basically went through all my money at that time.
Yeah.
I had to hire a chef to actually help me cook all these meals that were required for me to go through this healing crisis thing
Mhm.
because my hands literally stopped working. And then it progressed, and they tell you that in macrobiotic. I mean, the whole concept is kind of like, which I feel like is more standard now, but they bring your body from acid to alkaline. So anything that like I had ever put in my body that was bad, they were just getting rid of it. So I did get really bad for a while. And I didn't walk. I couldn't, it would take me, just to bend my elbow would take 5 minutes. I felt like the Tin Man, and I was in just so much pain, but I was so stubborn that I didn't want to take anything because I wanted to like see if this would work. So I was almost in this like meditative state for like months, just
You're like
like,
trapped in your own body,
yeah,
right?
just
All
like
you have is
dealing
you
with
and your
it.
thoughts.
Yeah. Which is like horrific for anybody. But I was a ballerina, I was a yogi, and I was so used to like doing everything with my body, and then not not be able to do that. Man, it was humbling. It was so humbling.
It's very strong of you to not take medicine. And yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to do it.
Well, I had heard stories of like at that time the TNF blockers, which are more common now. You guys have probably seen commercials for them like Humira and Enbrel. They
Mhm.
were brand new on the market. So they used to just treat people with rheumatoid arthritis with steroids, and they would be on steroids for the rest of their life. And if you're on steroids for the rest of your life, you're not going to last long. Like that's not healthy. At the most, maybe you should do steroids once a year, if you absolutely have to. But, and
And are you still on microbiotic diet to
no,
this day?
no. So I only did that. I think I did it for about 6 months, and my family finally intervened, and they were like, you need to go back to the doctor, because they were concerned because I just wasn't doing well. And I kept thinking that if I kept pushing through, I would get to the other side. And that's what they believe in
Yeah.
macrobiotics. Like it's going to get worse before it gets better. But I had no quality of life, like at all. I actually booked one job during that time. I was just telling my husband, it's like wild when I think about it. I was in the movie Land of the Lost, and I was like, they wanted like beautiful alien women, and I was like
You were the
90 pounds at the time, so it worked. So I remember like walking in there, but like I couldn't bend my knees or like my elbows, and I had to like speak some like fake language. And then I ended up booking the job, and I had to bring like coolers like of my food with me because I was on such a strict regimen.
That's
Oh my
crazy.
God, it's crazy when I think about it.
And so what made you, how did you get out of it in a sense? Like when did you realize, oh, I'm getting better?
Yeah. So what happened is, so I went back to the doctor with my tail between my legs, and she was like, I have never in my entire life seen anyone torture themselves as much as you've tortured yourself. So she hooked me up to a IV of steroids for an hour. And the next day, I could I could walk.
Stop
I started
it.
running. I was like, I'm gonna. I've never ran in my life. I ran 5 miles, and then
The next day.
the next day,
Oh,
and I just kept running. I was like, if I keep running, that's probably when you saw me at Runyon. I would run every day. I would
probably.
drop my son off and go to Runyon. I thought if I stay ahead of this, it can't catch me. Like I had this like weird thing. And I did go on TNF blockers for a while, probably like 6 months. And then I just felt so good. I started building my body back up. I felt amazing. I was still doing the macrobiotic. So I was doing this like balance between Western and Eastern. And then eventually I weaned myself off of the TNF blockers, which isn't recommended, but you know, my doctor, she knows I'm like a crunchy granola, you know, at heart. I was like, I really don't want to be at this stuff. And she's like, okay, we could see how you do. And I did good. I think I was in remission for maybe 5 years without medication. And then I had a really intense thing happen in my life where I had to move and I had a breakup. And, you know, the crazy thing, I'm a holistic health practitioner, but I feel like there's nothing more like living through a disease. Like you learn more than you ever will in a school.
Yeah.
And what I noticed about myself was, you know, because everybody would ask me, well, what did you do? What diet did you do? Or what, you know, more than anything, it was like psychological. Like, how was my environment? How was my relationship?
I
What was
believe
the
that.
stress in my life? And I feel like disease waits for those moments of weakness, you know, because when you're stressed out, your immune system kind of slows down. And sure enough, I had this big, what's the word? Um, it came back basically with a vengeance.
When you
And
were trying to get pregnant.
no, this was about, I was in remission for about 5 years. So this was in my 30s. It came back with a vengeance, and tried all my tricks, all my like holistic tricks that I
Yeah.
had developed at that time, and nothing was working. So I did go back on medication for a couple months again. But then and then I went off of it again, and I was off of it for years. Um, but going back to this pregnancy, when I started seeing this reproductive immunologist, one of the things he wanted to do was put me back on Humira, which is the TNF blocker. And I called my rheumatologist to find out, and she said it's been used off label for pregnancy for years because it modulates the immune system,
Stop it.
which is the same thing that the placenta does. So the placenta helps modulate the immune system so that you don't, so that not,
Attack it.
yes, you don't attack it. So, so I went back on it for a while. I'm not on it now, but I was on it for a while during pregnancy as
Oh,
well.
wow.
Yeah. Which is something that I never thought I would do. But, you know, thank goodness, being on all these Facebook groups, like I'm on all these reproductive immunology groups, and I like
Yeah.
talk to women, and like
Mhm.
there's so many women that like, you know, have been on Humira and like all these other things, and, you know, have healthy babies.
So you like really mix of medicine, like holistic and Western.
Yeah, I mean, I
Um,
definitely think, you know, um, I think that you have to do both. I don't think you have to do both, but like if something's not working
Sometimes
holistically.
you have no choice, and
Yeah.
regular, like,
mhm.
medical system, whatever, they can really save your life, you know?
Yeah.
I
And
believe that.
especially if you're doing the holistic things, I think the Western things can be a nice like piggyback. It's just when people are like, I just want a pill and I'm not going to change my diet and I'm not going to change my lifestyle. That's when I
When
think,
it's so much more
yeah,
extreme.
it's like, well, you have to do both, you know, for it to work.
Okay, JC, something that's like really, really interests me is how you started your business.
Yeah.
So you went from modeling, you were struggling with your autoimmune disease, and then you have this amazing business now. So we kind of lost a little bit.
Yeah.
How did
Yeah.
it start it for you,
I
and
know.
how is it going? And I honestly want to go through my bag and see what's in there.
Yeah, I
'Cause I'm
want to
so
know how
excited.
was that transition?
Yeah.
Because it can be tough sometimes. Like modeling, it's like a comfortable
Yeah.
zone. It's something you know, right?
Yeah.
You make so much money
Yeah.
in one day.
Yeah.
And
I
then
know.
how did you start your business?
Yeah. Well, what's crazy is like after I went into remission, like after I didn't walk, I built my body up. And that's when all the yoga companies, I actually was like launched Aloe. I was the yogi model for Aloe and all the yoga companies that came out at that time, you know, because I was one of the only models that was actually a certified yoga teacher in this city.
And you had like that body that's you still
I could
have.
do all the crazy
Yeah.
things, you know, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I felt like I was able to extend my career longer than I thought I would ever be able to.
And
Um,
they paid well, the commercial stuff like
oh
that. They paid
yeah.
so well,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
way better than like
commercials
high
and all that
fashion.
stuff, yeah.
Mhm.
But I kind of like made myself this like I ended up being known as like the yogi. And then I started going on auditions with like 20-year-olds and like, you know, they're having me do Scorpion and I'm like 36 and I'm just like struggling. I could do it, but I'm struggling. And I'm like, these 20-year-olds are like just, you know, doing it. And I was like,
So they were
you know
doing
what?
it.
You can have the job. I think I'm gonna go home.
Really?
You know, it got to that point because it wasn't it was no longer me just like standing there being pretty.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
like they
You
wanted me to
mm,
do the crazy yoga stuff. And I was like, this is starting to be a lot on my body.
mhm.
But after I first went into remission with rheumatoid arthritis, there was no social media. There was MySpace, but there was no Instagram or Facebook. And I started to get a lot of like messages and emails from people like wanting to know how, like, my story, you know, because it's so rare, first of all, to know somebody that's 29 that had rheumatoid arthritis, but went through the journey that I did, like, got as sick as I did, and then was able to be as, you know, the epitome of health as being, you know, this yogi
Mhm.
And doing all the crazy
and
poses.
doing all the crazy
Mhm.
poses, which is crazy, you know, when I think
Yeah.
about it now, going from not walking to that. But I started a blog called The Golden Secrets, and that's where it all started. And I just wanted to share anything and everything that had ever helped me. Because I simply couldn't respond to everybody. I mean, I was a single mom. I was like, and I felt like I needed to get this information out because there really wasn't a lot of it. So I was sharing like diet. I was, you know, basic things that are very common now, but like, you know, nightshade vegetables and inflammation and like smoothies and recipes. And I even talked about natural childbirth and breastfeeding and a lot of unconventional
So you
things.
were like the first one of the bloggers.
Well,
That's like
I don't know if I
kind
was
of.
the first one, but like I definitely found a lot of passion
Yeah.
in it.
Mhm.
And you know, I wasn't making money doing it. I
You
just
found your
felt,
call.
yeah, I just felt like,
Mm.
wow, these people really want to know what's going
Mhm.
on and there isn't a lot of information. So
Mhm.
I felt obligated to share. And then at the same time, I was making a lot of my own products. I had been making some of these products since high school, and they were my golden secrets. They were sacred to me. They were not anything I ever thought I would share. And a friend of mine who I really admire in business, he said, "You should bottle that stuff." And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
And it was mostly oils, right? In the
It was,
beginning.
yeah, it was like
Mhm.
perfume oils
Yeah.
and body oils. But he goes, "Every time I go out with you, someone is complimenting you on your skin or your
Smells.
scent or something."
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Ugh," I actually got really protective. I was
Yeah.
like, "I don't wanna share." I was like, "I don't like that
You're like,
idea."
this is golden secret.
Yeah,
It stays
I
with
was like,
me.
"I don't wanna share that." But
And
then
Golden, your real last name? That's
it's my real
incredible.
last
That's
name.
It
actually
Yeah.
suits you
crazy.
so
I
well.
Thank
know.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Um, so yeah, so I sat on it for a while and I thought, you know, when I thought about it, you know, having been in the industry as a model too and knowing how toxic most of the products are and like, you know, just the message behind a lot of these things, I thought maybe I could do this in the right way, meaning clean, organic products, and then also make it more about the ritual and like positive affirmations and you know, so I thought, okay, I'll bottle one product. I launched it on my birthday. I had no idea what I was doing. And I sold like 100
Where did you
bottles.
manufacture it? Here in LA? Did you find
Oh, I
someone?
was doing it out of my kitchen
Wow.
until 2021.
Okay, so you did your first product out of your kitchen
Yeah.
and it got sold out
Yes.
right
You said
away.
you date 100.
I only made 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I sold 100 in a day. And then I had to figure
Crazy.
out how I was gonna ship them. I mean, like, everything. I had
Wait,
no
what?
idea what I was doing. Like, you guys, no idea.
Did you do hand deliveries too? You're like, oh, this is
No, thank
stop putting
God.
it close to
No,
me.
no.
Like,
Yeah, I know, I should have, right?
yeah.
But I was like,
Did you spend all your money that you made on shipping?
probably.
Probably, right?
Probably. Oh, yeah, nothing was like
Mhm.
nothing made sense, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a labor of love. I never thought that I would be a skincare owner. I'll just say that. Like, it just slowly evolved where, like, then they wanted this product, then they wanted this product, and then I was like,
Can we go through
okay.
your product a little
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah, you go through it.
So Jesse brought us some gifts here today.
Yeah.
I'm dying to see it.
Oh,
I mean, I've bought your oils many
Oh, good.
times.
Thank you.
Lash growth. You have a lash growth serum now.
So this was like actually one of the first products I wanted to develop. But it's just such, especially right now, like, gosh, I forgot what company it is. I think it's Grande Lash and some other companies.
They're very
but
toxic, right?
They're going through there's a lawsuit
sure.
happening right now.
People went blind because of
Yeah.
it.
Not only
Mhm.
that, you can lose fat around your eyes, giving you a sunken eye look.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know what's in
wow.
it? Oh my god, this feels so good.
That's gonna plump and brighten.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
So how
that's
do you
for lash.
apply?
So on the top and bottom, yeah. You don't want to do it now though.
No, I'm not, 'cause I have
yeah,
mascara
yeah.
on.
You want to do it to clean
Yeah.
eyes on the top and bottom twice a
Before
day
bedtime?
before bedtime. It could take the full 16 weeks, we always say, because the hair growth cycle takes full 16 weeks.
Mhm.
But it depends on where you're in the hair growth cycle when you start. It could be sooner. Some people say, "Oh, I see it in 2 weeks," you know.
On a
Mhm.
cycle?
In the
That's
growth cycle,
interesting.
yeah.
On the
in
growth
the hair
cycle.
growth
Yeah.
cycle, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, this one. So we have a face oil. I love oils because I don't like ever
Yeah.
break out. So like
Yeah.
any oil,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just
Well,
so
none of these
excited.
should make you break out. There are certain oils like coconut oil in the face could make you break out, or like shea butter, but all of these oils are very good for the skin and won't
Well,
cause
you know, a lot
breakouts.
of traditional cosmetologists,
Mhm.
they like so against the oil.
I know.
They're like, never
I
put the
know.
oil on your face. And I was really, because I lived in New York, so I was really following. And the minute I started to put oil on my face, I'm just
Life-changing.
life changing and
I
my
know.
body.
I always say every like older woman that like I ask like, what do you do? If
Just
I,
oil.
yeah,
It's not La
they don't even
Mer.
wash their face. They
For
olive
sure.
oil for their face. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's just like, you know.
Well, I have to say, packaging is beautiful.
Thank you
It's
so
very
much.
golden.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
It's on brand.
I assume you don't make these products in your kitchen anymore.
I do not. Thank God. I think we need a battery.
You need a
Yeah,
battery
yeah,
for it,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like vibrates, and you put your products in it.
Yeah, yeah. It's really nice. I think it's like 6,000 vibrations per minute.
It's
So
so
it does the
cheap.
work for you.
You guys
Yeah.
have to tell it. This smells so good.
Is that a face oil?
Smell it.
And everything's organic
It's so
and natural. And this one has natural
Wow.
retinic acid. So, you know, basically natural retinol. Like you don't need to be using toxic.
Really?
Yeah. Everything is, and then on the boxes, everything has a QR code on the bottom for you could scan for a little ritual.
Cute. Jesse, thank you. I'm so excited.
right here.
I'm gonna go put everything.
And what's the QR code for?
So you can scan it, you know, like at the restaurant nowadays, you can scan
Yeah.
menus, and a little ritual tutorial will show up, show you how to use the product.
This is really useful too.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
soft.
those are
It's
great.
amazing. I should put it on.
Thank you. I know. No,
It's
it suits
so
your
soft.
outfit.
It goes with
I
my
know.
outfit.
Guys are so cute.
It is so
does.
soft.
Oh my
It
gosh.
does.
This was
Actually.
meant to be.
Oh my! It actually looks. It's very in right now. You know the
I know,
headbands.
when I first got them, I was just like wearing it during the day because it was so cute.
soft.
Yeah, the color is like so like energizing. I don't know, it just looks
How did
cute.
you knew it's gonna match my outfit today?
You have to put it lower so it like covers your
So
Okay,
hair
but I can't
lines.
see myself.
Is your
And
phone?
this is great.
And that's
Oh,
just organic coconut lip balm. Everything is natural, non-toxic. That's like my main purpose is like I want to share with women that like you don't have to use like
Expensive like La Mer creams that smell like toxic.
that have toxic ingredients like, you know, fragrance and perfume and you know all these endocrine
For sure.
disruptors and you know just you
Mm.
know. And it's funny because I own a skincare line, but I always say less is more. Like you don't need like 1,000 things, you know, if you find something that works.
Did you
Just
make like a face wash or anything yet?
so we're releasing a oil cleanser
Nice.
is it next month? No, 2 months. Yeah, I have 5 products I'm launching in the next 5 months. So
That's
it's like
crazy.
it's a little
And you're
crazy right
busy.
now.
And you having a baby.
I know there's so much happening right now. I'm like,
So
just take it.
when were your biggest growth in your company?
hmm
So you started what year?
So when I first launched that first product, it was 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
You were going through immune
Yeah, I
disease.
wasn't like I was still modeling. It
Yeah.
was just like I was playing
Same.
around. So
Okay.
in 2019, I realized, oh, this is a company.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I incorporated, and I actually called my
This lip
agents.
balm is insane, by the way. My lips are like so soft. I was like
Good.
so dry all day.
um, yeah, I remember calling my agent and saying, I think I'm retiring. Like, don't send me on anything
At 37.
unless it's a direct booking.
Mhm.
Yeah, 37, 38.
Mm.
I was like, unless it's like a direct booking and it pays
Mhm.
really well, I
Yeah.
You're like, I'm too
don't
busy.
even bother me. I
Yeah.
just want to focus
Yeah.
on this.
And you were making a little bit of money already from your business?
But you guys,
What?
nothing. Like when I look back on it, it's
Yeah.
hilarious. And it's really cool because my son saw the whole progression of
Yeah.
the company and like
Mhm.
what I made like that first year and like to what we're doing now. And like
Mhm.
sometimes I'll tell him like, do you believe like that we pulled in this much this month or something? Because I want him to see like he's seen how hard I worked and that like
Yeah.
I've did this myself. And I'm so proud, because
You should be.
I mean, I'm sure you guys relate, but like, I was just a model. I didn't go to school. I didn't go to business school. People didn't see me as somebody that like, could do this.
That's the stage we're at now.
Yeah.
So talking to all of you guys with all these amazing
It's very
businesses, the
true.
pump suit or like you're the golden
Yeah.
secrets. Like,
Yeah.
it really inspires us a lot.
Yeah. Well, if something is, I think, I mean, I feel like if you just follow what lights you up. So like whatever, I don't know if you guys already have something in the works or if it's like something is going to
Mhm.
find your way that's not going to shut up and then you
Yeah.
just have to go with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like if, the universe, like I was obviously supposed to do this. I had no necessarily desire to do it or like, but it just kept coming at me. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm going to do this then. I'm going to
I like that. It's
figure it
something
out.
something's not gonna shut up. You just have to go. You know? I
Yeah.
like that.
That's the
Yeah.
caption for
Yeah.
Jessie's YouTube. So in a couple recent years, I keep asking the business question, someday annoying girl.
No,
So in the last couple years, did you grow the most? You would say
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
COVID actually really helped
really
us.
helped because everyone was like into like
Yeah.
the beauty, right?
Yeah. Everyone was in the beauty and it was like, I had one employee at that time. I think I brought one other girl, well, 2 other girls on because we were still manufacturing at home.
You were
Yeah.
2 years
Wow.
ago.
Yeah.
Where are
Yeah,
you
yeah.
manufacturing now?
Yeah. We're in the valley. We're in like a solar powered manufacturing facility.
Nice.
But COVID helped me fill that gap because like what a lot of people don't realize is these products have a shelf life. 2 years.
I was gonna
on
ask
open.
this.
Yeah.
So because they're natural, they don't have preservatives, right?
They have natural preservatives.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's 2 years unused for most of them and then 1 year after
If you open
opened.
it. Mhm.
But I'm just saying it's not like clothing. Like if you were a clothing if you had a clothing store, you can go get manufactured
Mhm.
5,000 pieces. They're
Mhm.
not going to go stale. They might go
Yeah.
out of fashion,
Mhm.
but that's the hardest thing I think for people to do is like make that gap between
Shelf life.
going from home to manufacturer because the minimum code is like 5,000.
5,000.
So it's like, how am I going to
Mhm.
sell 5,000? I'm only doing 5,000 in like a year.
Mhm.
So I had to really hustle to be able to like make it into manufacturing basically.
So did they let you do less or not?
They did let me do less the first run, but still it was a lot for
Yeah.
me. But COVID helped, I raised my numbers up and
You did.
was filling
Nice.
bottles like crazy. I mean, I had no life
Were
at
you at
all.
home with like the little
Oh yeah.
thingy? Like
Yeah, and my
Oh, I love
husband, my
that.
son, and I had this other girl. We had a whole studio and we were just like little elves all the time.
I
Just
love that
yeah,
though.
post office hated me. I would go there every day. My husband has a golf cart and we would fill up all the boxes in the golf cart, drop it off. It was just like, yeah, it was just when we went into manufacturing, my husband and I celebrated so much because we got our life back. Like we were like,
Oh yeah,
oh
you're
my
like,
God,
okay.
this is amazing.
That's so cute, Jess.
But I think that's, I didn't have funding. I had a lot of like, I mean, creepy guys that wanted to like give me
I am
money.
sure.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to take
Yeah.
anyone's money. I wanted to do it
'Cause they own,
myself. And
you own it after
I
so
own
long.
it. And,
Mm.
and so that's the hustle I think you have to go through when
So
you
what
want
do
to
you
do
think
it.
that helped? Was it Instagram?
Oh, yeah.
Speaking about marketing.
Social media is everything. Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. I noticed the direct correlation from when I post and sales. And I think it's because, before I even had the skincare brand, I was sharing health and wellness.
So I wanted to not to say something about your engagement,
Yeah.
because a lot of girls now have like maybe some fake followers, maybe some not very fake followers, like 2-3 million followers, but like not so many comments and like the engagement of it.
Yeah.
And like you, every time I open your post, like it's crazy. You have like 100% engagement. Like it's insane.
Well, I
You know-
try. I mean, I hope so, but
Well, I just mean that like
yeah.
I think if someone follows you, they just stay there and they'll believe
Yeah.
in what you do and what you say and in your whole
Yeah.
thing.
It's sweet, because I
Mhm.
get messages sometimes like,
Yeah.
I was there when Kaleo was little, and I'm just like, oh, that's so
Wow.
cool.
See,
People
I
are
called it.
attached.
Yeah,
I
I
think they're
called it.
attached.
How
Yeah.
do you think you get that trust from people? I see why completely, but just want to know your intake. What
I
do you
think,
think?
I think I'm just myself and vulnerable and honest, and I try and show up in that way, and I take it serious. Like I feel like social media it can be such a negative thing, and like every post I like try and make it impactful. If someone's going to see it, I want it to like make their day better, or they're learning something, or so I feel like I just take it like really serious. I don't know. I'm
Mhm.
just
You
Well,
just
you
work hard
project,
on it.
yeah, you project such a light.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I always say it takes one to know one.
Oh, you're so sweet.
So are you planning to last question and then we
Yes.
can let you go?
Yes.
You delivered your first baby completely natural.
Yes.
That was 20 years ago, 19 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was not a thing back then, I think. It's a little
Right.
bit of a thing now.
Yeah.
And you were practicing the attachment method, right?
Yeah.
Mothering.
Yeah.
So kind of like Minginta too. Like
Yeah.
my kids still sleep on me
Yeah.
till this day, which is in traditional world right now. It's like that's not okay. Kids need to be independent
Yeah.
and you need to cry it out method. And
Yeah.
how were you so aware of that 20 years ago?
Yeah. I was so lucky because my mom was very wise. Like she had me naturally, and then she was actually one of the founding members of the La Leche League, which is like a breastfeeding support group. It's still around today.
Cute.
She breastfed me till I was 4.
Nice.
So she would always keep things very simple. Like I remember the best advice she said was like, you don't need all this shit. All you need is a boob and a purse. And it was like, it just made such an impact on me, especially as a single mom.
She's right, by the way.
Yeah. And I didn't have like all the tricks and all the things.
Yeah.
And Cleo and I were traveling everywhere. And I literally had a diaper and a purse and my boob. And he was fine because I did attachment parenting because he felt secure. He didn't feel like I was going to leave him at every minute. And, when he cried, I was there for him. And I believe in all that stuff. But I was also, I also did the Khalsa way, which was like Gurmukh. And now she teaches, she does like teacher trainings all over the world. But she used to have a studio here called Golden Bridge. And I would go there almost every day. And she's like, it was like this type of yoga pregnancy. And I was just surrounded by all these natural things. And it just had such an impact on me. It was like my support group when I was pregnant. So I was so grateful to like,
I had a support group and they told me, make sure when the baby's born, you do the cry it out method so she doesn't get too attached.
Yeah, everyone was saying that.
Everyone. And I did it for one night and I was like, no.
Yeah. It breaks my heart.
It does.
I don't know. I don't want to judge, but like for me, that's just, I just couldn't.
I totally judge.
Yeah. I totally judge. Yeah. My mom does. My mom's like, that's horrible.
That's horrible. That's
Yeah.
sadistic.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like if you look at like mammals, like we're the only mammals that put our babies in cages. We're the only mammals that
It's
don't
crazy.
like have our babies attached to us all the time. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just or put our kids in another room. You know, I don't think people talk about like not sleeping. I was just talking about this with my husband because we're setting up the bedrooms, like how we're gonna do it. And I was like, I can't even imagine like if he was in his actual room, like I wouldn't sleep at all.
No, I can
Like
sleep
I
without
need,
my
yeah, like I need
camera.
to like be able to wake up and be like, is he okay?
I
You know
know.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm on it with you for
yeah,
sure. I sleep with my kids and I cannot sleep without them.
it's so
Just-
precious. It's so because they do grow up,
I
and you
know.
know, my son now is an adult,
Does he
and
still sleeps with you?
he does not sleep with me,
No.
but he does the sweetest things where like he'll know if I'm having a bad day, and he'll be like, "Mom, do you need a hug?" And it's just like the sweetest
It
thing.
melts you.
No, melts. I mean, he's like 6'4", like man now, and it's
Yeah.
just like
So
I do need a hug.
He
You
looks
know.
just like you.
It's
really
Thank you.
sweet.
He's so cute.
Jessie, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, you guys.
I'm so happy we had like this day.
I know, me
with you
too.
today.
I know.
Yeah,
Thank
best
you
of
so
luck with
much.
everything that's ahead of you. We're gonna have to do 2.0 when the baby's here.
Yeah.
I know.
All the
I know.
story.
And when your business grows even more,
Oh, I hope
which I've
so.
noticed in the
Which
past
will.
couple years, it's just like really grew. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you so much.
And your amazing husband. I'm just like so happy that all these good things happening to you.
You
Thank
deserve
you.
everything.
Aw, thanks, you
Yeah.
guys. Thank
Well,
you.
actually, I have last question. How do you look like this at 45?
The golden secrets.
Oh, there you go. We have the products. Now we can look like Jessie.
You guys want to look like Jessie.
That's actually how I got the name. Is people would always say, "What's your secret?" And I would say it's the
It's
golden
It's a
secret.
great name.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one last question?
And one last question. No, I have one last question.
What kind of oil you use for belly? What would you
Yeah,
suggest?
I have
like, for
I have a
moms?
pregnancy oil
You
called
do?
Womb Wisdom. Yeah. We actually just won Best Body Oil by Think Dirty. So it's super clean. A lot of the baby oils, unfortunately, either have oils that are not stable, meaning they oxidize in the sun and can actually age you, or they have perfume, which is crazy to me, fragrance,
Is
which
that why you have the bottle that's doesn't get the light in?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, specific and glass, instead of plastics, you're
Mhm.
not getting like,
Microplastics.
yeah, microplastics and estrogenic stuff and
Yeah.
yeah, I try and do everything right from seed to skin. It's like I'm very crazy with certain things, and I'm like,
This is
if I'm
amazing.
gonna do it, I'm gonna do it perfect, or I'm not gonna launch a product. Like,
So you said you have 5 more products coming. What products
Yeah,
are coming? Just
yeah.
so our
Little
listeners
secret.
can.
oh, it's a
Here we
little
go.
secret.
It's a
I could
secret,
tell you
okay.
guys I'll tell you guys next month we're releasing. Well, I told you the illuminating cleansing oil is I think
I'm
in
so
2
excited
2
about it.
months. It's a game changer. Even my team, they're like, I had the tester and it ran out, and I'm like dying. When are we launching?
Wow.
But next month we're releasing a bath soak, which is out of control.
Does it have oil in it?
It has a little bit of oil. It's like coconut milk,
Oh,
nice.
zestine minerals, which is like magnesium, and we're most depleted in magnesium, and the best way to absorb it is actually through the skin.
It is.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
for
Amazing.
moms, like to take a bath and just let all the stress go, and then it has rose and I always say it wrong, but yang yang. I don't know how you say it.
Yang and yang.
Yang and yang. Yeah.
That's good.
So it smells divine, and it has a bunch of good stuff in there for your skin. It's just
It's exciting. Well, we
Yeah.
can't wait to have.
so
And
excited.
one last
product.
kidding.
I was like, what are you saying
No more
now?
questions.
And one last